right. 7:10. Time to get started, as promised. Buy Back the Block family, what's going on? Happy to have y'all. All of the new people in the building who have never attended a meeting, thank you for being here. Happy to have y'all as well. As I mentioned earlier, welcome to Buy Back the Block LA, the home of generational wealth and group economics. I'm still letting people in, so bear with me. I'm gonna be lecturing tonight myself about wholesaling, so if I miss anything in the chat, if somebody can keep track of it for me, I would be incredibly grateful.
I got you.
Appreciate it, thank you. For those of you who are new, Buy Back the Block LA is a group that we started after the passing of our brother Nipsey Hussle. The group would not exist if not for Nipsey Hussle, so we always got to make sure we start off by saluting him. And we started the group in response to his untimely killing because we've seen enough. Malcolm, Martin, Fred Hampton, the list goes on and on. So we can't continue to let people take our icons, our light, our leaders, and not respond. Only weak communities do that. So we got together and decided that we were going to take the principles that Nip was already practicing by being an owner here in LA of some very valuable property, but a blueprint that got laid out for us by Dr. Claude Anderson a long time ago. If you haven't read any of Dr. Claude Anderson's work or seen any of the lectures, I definitely would advise you to go ahead and hop on YouTube after this and YouTube his name and start digging in, because the man is a genius. And the baseline of it all really is that, hey, without each other, we have no shot. And we need to focus on the community, on group economics, and building our economy within the Black community. So that's what we did. So we came together as a group. It's called the Founders Club. It was the very first investment group. We purchased the property out of state in Indianapolis, Indiana. We rehabbed that property, flipped it, sold it for a profit, then turned around, bought another property, finished the rehab on that, and now it's being rented out. So there's a lot of people in the Founders Club who are landlords for the first time right now, thanks to that project. So we're definitely proud of that, and really more so because it allows us to be able to use it as evidence now that Black people can come together, can be complete strangers, but abide by a certain code and can build together. And that's exactly what we're doing now. So what we also want to do is continue to try to educate the community on different ways to be able to make money, on how to become financially literate, on how to get your credit right. We've had some of the best credit repair people in the country in here. The very last meetup we had was so dope because we had two of the best in the space in mobile home investing. And if you missed that, I want you to head over to our YouTube. All you have to do is look up Buy Back the Block LA on YouTube. You'll see every past meetup that we had. The mobile home investing meetup was super dope because that's a channel that a lot of people don't think about, but is very lucrative, right? So you can check out all of that there. Also, before we get started, let's take care of some wholesale. I said wholesale, I'm looking at this flyer. Some housekeeping. Please head over to IG, grab your phones right now. If you're not following us, head over to IG. Follow us at Buy Back the Block LA. That way you'll see all the flyers when they go up, any events, anything that we're doing for the community, you can see it and be a part of the family. All right. Also, if you're a Twitter head like me, follow us on Twitter right after that. The Twitter is Buying Back LA. Okay. And I'll drop that in the chat. All right, that's our IG in the chat. And that's our Twitter handle in the chat. Also, Facebook. You know, I don't hang out on Facebook a lot these days, but I do go on Facebook because of the groups. It's probably the best platform for groups and people with shared interests. So you can also hop in our Facebook group, and you know, Jerome's always in there posting dope stuff, and that way you can completely tap in with us. All right. So I'm gonna stop sharing the screen real quick. And before we take off rolling, I have a question for the community, because I want to make sure we're tailoring everything that we're doing to be able to help you guys the most we can, right? So I have ideas for meetups, but maybe my ideas aren't the best. So give me a quick second. I'm just about to open this on another screen. If there's anything that you're having, that you're curious about, that you would like to, you know, have us cover, please let us know, you know, really quick. And you can unmute, you can say anything. The one thing that I'm really passionate about right now is getting Black people back into working the trades, because being somebody who invests in real estate and seeing how much money is being paid to framers, plumbers, electricians, I know the money that's out there, but the majority of the people that we're cutting the checks to don't look like us. So I'm really passionate about getting Black people, not just Black men and women, back into the trade, because the reality is that we're starting to see now the effects of a lot of these degrees that we were able to obtain in college not having any real value. There's so many Black people right now that are saddled with student loan debt, but can't even monetize the degree that they went to school for to be able to pay that debt off and get ahead in life. So many people with degrees that are just really useless at this point, if we're being completely honest. So I'm really passionate about getting Black people back into either going to school for something that's an actual marketable skill that you can use right now, which is probably more than likely, if you're not in healthcare, you're going to probably need something in IT, or getting back into the trades to eventually become your own contractor and business owner, right? So how do you guys feel about the trades? And you can just hop in the chat, hit me with a yes, no, just so I can get an idea of what you guys think. You can also throw other ideas in there. I'm seeing a lot of other good ideas in there. People want to know about 203Ks, mortgage notes. I see Phil want to know about them options. You want that's a good one, Phil. I actually know somebody who I need to probably bring in for stock options. And you know what? And I'm gonna tell y'all a little quick story too, because Phil and I and Larry have become addicts when it comes down to this this YouTube channel called the Come Up Series. If you don't know about the Come Up Series, you need to get on it right away. Mark Monroe and Jolene GC created the Come Up Series. Mark Monroe is a multi-millionaire young Black man around my age, and he did it all through investing in options in the stock market. And yeah, for rolling forwards, I see, Phil. And you know, the stock market for me personally was something I never wanted to have anything to do with, right? I'm a hard asset kind of guy. I like houses, you know, I like to be able to hit the walls. I can see where my money is at. But it was only because I was afraid of it, because I was ignorant as to how it worked. And the more that we're learning, you know, Phil and Larry and I are able to bounce ideas off of each other on stocks that we want to get into. And we're not just throwing money at the wall. Like Mark and Jolene teach us how to research these stocks to see where technology is going, so that way we know what to put our money into. So I would definitely encourage any of you guys, please go to YouTube, hop on the Come Up Series channel, watch the playlist called the Starter Pack. And you ain't got to take it all in at once. It's, you know, Me and Phil was racing each other trying to get through it, but it's brutal because it's, you know, each video is like an hour long and it's probably a new concept and language for you. But man, I'm telling you, if you can figure out that side of the game, you'll never have to worry about a job again. At some point, you'll be able to break out and never have to look back because they're going to teach you how to fish. So that way you can eat yourself. All right. It's called hold on, let me put it in the chat. I see people got questions. Matter of fact, let me drop the link. That'll make it 10 times easier, wouldn't it? Let me see. YouTube, come up series. Also, you need to join their Facebook group. It's called the Come Up Cousins. They call everybody a cousin, basically. And they're definitely focused on the Black community. They did this with us in mind. Here we go. Starter pack. Steve and Dave use eToro to trade. Give me a quick second. I'm going to get this to y'all right now. All right, this is video 1 that I'm dropping for you right now in the chat. All right, boom. Don't say I never did nothing for you. So y'all need to get on that right away. All right, just watch one video every other day or every day until you get it right. Okay, I see people asking for down payment assistance / first time home buyers programs and FHA 203K loan. That's going to be Larry. Larry Hughes is our resident mortgage broker, so he'll be able to game everybody up on that. Larry, we probably need to get you booked for another lecture. I see stocks. That's obviously going to be what I just talked about. I see cryptocurrency. Okay, so another YouTube channel I'm about to give y'all right now. The Gentleman of Crypto. Okay, you need to watch these videos. The Gentleman of Crypto is basically a news channel about cryptocurrency, hosted by 2 Black men. One of them wrote a book called Bitcoin and Black America. I didn't understand Bitcoin at all until I I read this book and the world started opening up to me. And now I'm starting to become familiar with crypto, investing in it, stuff like that. So if you feel left behind at all about crypto and what's going on, all you gotta do is watch these guys. Their show their news, basically their news broadcast comes on every day around 10 o'clock, and they're gonna give you the latest game on what's going on in the crypto space. Okay. So I'm giving y'all this. That's in the chat. Go ahead and subscribe. And that's everything you need to know. Like, these guys live, breathe crypto. Restaurant and lounge space. That's Alicia. Okay. I'm not mad at that. We actually have somebody in the group that's in that space. Alicia says she would love to learn more about retail building, owning, or leasing for a business. Okay. Alicia, can you unmute and just describe what you mean a little bit more? I don't know if you can. Okay, maybe not. All good. I see franchising. Monique is saying we offer trades at Compton College. Maxine Waters has a school in Watts. Maxine Waters has a school.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. What's going on?
Oh, hi everyone. I haven't been back in a while, but nice to see you all virtually again. I was talking about, this is very specific to me, but more like a restaurant space / like multi-purpose space. I would like to learn about, I don't know if you have any connects or people who have businesses that have leased out space in LA or who have knowledge about it, not even just in LA, but I would like to learn more about that, or owning a property and building out like a restaurant / multi-use space.
Okay, so are you looking to be the restaurant owner and operator yourself?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so you want to learn more about basically how to, not just the process of how to lease the space, but you also want to learn the process of how to basically run that lounge, nightclub, restaurant type business.
Yeah, more like not even night. This would be more for uh like a holistic space. So like yoga space, creative space, selling things and also selling food as well.
Okay, I got you. So you're going, I get exactly where you're going with it. Okay, so that's not my particular area of expertise, but I'm glad that you mentioned it because I can put that on the list. And now when I'm talking to some of the more veteran people around the city, I can start inquiring about who knows people that do that. So
Okay.
thank you for that, and we will get to that as soon as we can find somebody who's an expert on it.
Can I ask a question, Alicia? Are you talking about more of the events type space, like where you renting out to people, or are you gonna, like you Danny said, are you gonna be just an owner operator solely?
Can you say it one more time?
Are you wanting to do like an event space where you're gonna be renting out to people, or are you just gonna be the owner operator only? I don't know. Did you hear me?
I don't know. For some reason, we can't hear her. Okay, we still got people hopping in. Well, I'm not going to stay here too long. We can talk about it at the very end of the presentation, but I don't want to hold y'all, right? You've been here about 27 minutes, so let's get down to what you came for. So let me go ahead and share the screen real quick. And we are about to jump into Wholesaling 101. All right. Boom. Okay. So wholesaling is something I'm really passionate about because this is what I do every day on a day-to-day basis, and it's helped me find a lot of really good deals that we'll talk about during this presentation, right? So what is wholesaling, right? So at the core of wholesaling, what we're talking about is just the art of finding a good deal. It's the art of finding undervalued assets. I know that sounds more complicated than it really is. Basically, that just means finding a house that's beat up, that's going through something that you can get at a discount. Now, the thing that you have to focus on as a wholesaler, and really as any good business person, is solving the customer, or in this case, the homeowner's problems. It's your number one job. If you find a way to do that consistently, you will get paid. You don't have to worry about it. It's going to happen. Okay. Now, there are people all over America, all over, every city, every state, who are distressed or have distressed properties. Sometimes the property is distressed itself. Sometimes the owner is distressed because of life. All right. Now, what causes distress? Deferred maintenance, financial hardship, family disputes. Okay, somebody booming on the speakers. Need you to mute. Death in the family, probate, and I said get a trust in parentheses right here for a reason. Now, I'm just going to dive off to the side for a second. Black people, your will, your granny's will is not enough. Okay? Understand what I'm saying. Your granny's will, I don't care how well detailed, is not going to keep you and your family members out of probate court. You must get a trust. Now, you can find a good real estate attorney who will probably do this for somewhere around $500 to $600. Hold on, I gotta get just a second. All right. A good probate attorney will do this for you around $500, right? It's not a complicated document, but the trust allows you to bypass probate court in the event that your granny passes away. If you don't do this, you will end up in court, and the man will get a chunk of what's supposed to be coming to you. It will go back to him, believe me. And then the last, type of distress is back taxes. Now, it's one of my favorite. There's others as well, bankruptcy, but these are the big ones right here, right? Who just unmuted, man? Come on. All right. Now let's go through them one by one. Deferred maintenance. This is deferred maintenance. This is a house that I'm still chasing to this day in Indianapolis. Deferred maintenance means stuff that should have gotten done but didn't get done. What mic is this? So you see, you got boarded up windows here. You got grass that hasn't been cut. This is deferred maintenance, right? This is stuff that should have got handled but didn't get handled. Deferred maintenance number 2. This is a house right here that I recently just rehabbed. It's pending to be sold next week. And as you can see, this is deferred maintenance. Now, I didn't see this before I contacted the homeowner, but it just so happens that when they replied to us when we were calling, we noticed in the pictures that, oh, look what's going on. A motivating factor. You got gutters falling, and this was just the beginning of what was going on. Just the beginning. Up next, we got financial hardship. If any of us should have learned something over the last 365 days, if you were so blessed as to make it through 2020, is that life can change on you in an instant, right? When we started Buy Back the Block LA, nobody was thinking about wearing no mask. Now, you probably don't feel at home without one. So that just goes to show you how fast things can flip. Financial hardship is no different. Today you could be good, tomorrow you could not. Now that's bad for your seller, obviously, because he's going through something, but it can work out for you if you can come through and buy the property, help alleviate his situation, and get a discount on a good deal. Family disputes and divorce. The very first property I brought in Indianapolis was a 4-unit apartment building. I got it for $145,000. You know why? Because the guy was going through a divorce. And he told me, he said, man, I would never sell this building, but I'm going through a divorce and I got to pay my wife, and it is what it is. So I'm telling you from firsthand knowledge, this one right here is a killer if you catch the right deal. Like I told you before, death in the family / probate. If somebody dies and there's no trust, and you know how some of y'all quote unquote family members are, there could be a dispute over that property. Somebody might feel like they owe something. Now y'all tied up in court fighting. That can be an opportunity for a wholesaler or an investor to come through and say, hey, I can take care of everybody. I can buy for this much, cash y'all out. And since your family member's probably greedy and all they want is money anyway, there you go. And then back taxes. This one is a favorite of mine because when those taxes start to accumulate, most of the time that means at some point that house is getting ready to get sold. And that person has a certain amount of time to sell that house or pay those taxes off before the city or county sells it first. So I love catching people with back taxes. So we're going through that. So now it's like, okay, what's the process of wholesaling, right? In a nutshell, this is it right here on the screen. Gather a list of distressed properties together. Skip trace the list to get the contact info. Now, what's skip tracing? Skip tracing is simple. You take all of those properties you got, you put the addresses in, you find out who the owner is. I can show y'all how to do that. You put that information in, you put the owner's mailing address in, and then you upload it to a site that skip traces. It comes back, it's going to spit that same list back out to you with phone numbers so you can call them. Or it's going to give you updated mailing addresses because the one you have might be outdated, right? Then number 3, reach out to the owner and see if they're open to selling. They might cuss you out. They might be willing to sell. You never know how it's going to go, but you ain't going to make no money if you're too scared to pick the phone up, all right? Number 4, if they want to sell, negotiate the price. Number 5, sign the purchase agreement. Number 6, find your end buyer, or if you're going to flip it yourself because you got some money on the side or a loan that you can tap, close on it yourself. Number 7, pick up your check on closing day and get paid, or get your keys at closing if you're going to flip it yourself. And number 8, wash, rinse, repeat. This is probably one of the biggest ones, even though it's at the bottom, because if a lot of times people get one deal, they hit one lick, be up 100,000, 200,000, and they stop all these other steps that could make them a millionaire. Marketing. Okay, so marketing is how you're going to reach your sellers. The more consistent and organized you are with your marketing, the better your results are going to be. I underline consistent and organized for a reason, because the reality is that most wholesalers end up burning out before they get their first deal because they're not organized, nor are they consistent. They send out a bunch of marketing, somebody calls them back, and they don't write down who the person is, what their number is, what the property address is. They have no way to keep track of these things. So they just got money. That's basically money they could have just taken and thrown in the fire, because those are leads. You paying for those people. You paying for the marketing. So every time you don't properly address those leads when they come in, you just tricking money up. That's all it is. So the other thing is being consistent. You got to keep hitting these people. On average, a couple of years ago, it took 7 touches, 7, to be able to get with somebody. Now, I don't know what the number is, because I don't know what the number is. But at that point, with direct mail, it was 7 times. So if you get inconsistent at number 4 or 5, congratulations, you just threw some money away. Now let's talk about marketing methods. All right. There's RVM, which stands for ringless voicemail. What that means is I'm going to pick up my phone. I'm going to call this website number that they're going to give me, and I'm going to record a message. And it's going to say, it's going to be general, right? I'm just going to give you a quick example of my message. Hey, this is Danny. Just wanted to drop you a line because I bought a property in the area, and I'm looking for another project to be able to start on because we're wrapping one up. And just wanted to see if you'd be interested in selling. If so, give me a call back. If not, you can delete this message. You don't have to keep it. It's no problem. But if so, you can reach me at 123, 456 7819. Right? That's the message right there. Right? And that's what I'm dropping to everybody. And the people who don't want to talk to me, they won't talk to me. They'll discard the message. I'm giving them permission. I'm giving them permission on the message. You don't have to call me back. Don't worry about it. Right? And if they want to talk, they're going to hit me back. Cold calling, also a very cheap way of, and I meant to mention, ringless voicemail is cheap, cheap, cheap. Like you can get 10,000 credits basically for $400. So that means that, that's 10,000 people you can deliver to for $400. Not bad. Most of your lists are not going to be that big anyway, probably 1,000 at most. Cold calling is cheap, 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 but it takes work. You got to be dedicated. If you're dedicated to being on the phones, you will make money. If you're dedicated to being on the phones, you will make money. Got to say it twice, because a lot of y'all be like, hey, man, I'm going to call. And then 3 weeks later, I ask, hey, man, what's going on? You been calling? Oh, no, something came up. Okay. Texting cost is moderate, but it works. It's been working a little bit better than cold calling for us in certain markets, because certain people in certain markets don't like answering the phone. It's just a culture. So you hit them on text, and they can either ignore or reply right there. There's no harm, no foul. They don't have to talk to you. They don't feel threatened. They can do it at their leisure. Just to give you a ballpark example, like the system we were using, I think is one of the more expensive ones, but we were paying $500 a month for a system called Sherpa, Lead Sherpa, SHERP as in Paul A. Facebook ads are another way to be able to get people in. The problem is that Facebook has been doing so much changing to their algorithms and rules and how you can advertise and you can't. It's made Facebook ads a little tricky these days. I'm going back at them soon, but I'm pausing out on them right now. You're probably going to drop on a monthly basis. You're probably looking at about 500 to $1,000, maybe more on Facebook ads. That's why I got them down as moderate when it comes to price. Direct mail like if you've ever gotten one of those postcards in the mail or a letter in the mail, it's like, hey, we can sell your house. If not, we'll buy it. That's direct mail. Very, very, very expensive to do. And you got to have your systems tight, because when you send those postcards out, you're going to end up with a flurry of calls that come in. And you got to have a system in place to be able to capture all those leads when they come in and be able to make sure you're not missing calls, because missing calls potentially is missed money. And then PPC, that's pay per click. So whenever you you look for something on Google and then you see at the very top, there's like this thing that says like ad. It's like the first thing that comes up every time. That's pay per click. Every time you click that, you cost somebody some money. So very, very expensive, very expensive. And then one that I didn't mention here that's just like a little tricky is SEO, which is search engine optimization. And that's just like a lot of under the hood work that people do on your website to make it rank higher. So like if you look for example, We Buy Houses Los Angeles, if your SEO game is tight, then your website is going to be at the top of the return results. If your SEO is weak, you'll be on page 49 at the bottom. Okay, so now let's talk about marketing tools, right? The actual tool. We talked about methods just now. Now let's talk about the tools. PropStream is a very good site for beginners because you can do a lot of things in it and it's not that expensive. PropStream is $100 a month to start. You can run comps, which are comparable sales. We'll talk about that in a minute. You can build lists like vacant houses, and you can use it for driving for dollars, which I'll also talk about. Deal Machine is an app that people use for driving for dollars. If you don't know what driving for dollars is, it's just simply getting in your car, putting on your favorite song, album, podcast, and going somewhere and looking for distressed properties, right? So Deal Machine has an app where, boom, I'm going down your street, 123 Main Street. I see it, it's beat up. I could, boom, click the picture, and Deal Machine will automatically send a postcard to that address on a regular intervals. The problem is that it's very expensive, right? So you don't want to be dealing with Deal Machine if you have a small budget. It'll kill you after a while. Slide Broadcast is what I use for my RVMs. That's what we talked about earlier. Real quick, I'll meet somebody. Podio is your CRM. Podio, CRM basically stands for Customer Relationship Manager. Just fancy for, here's a system on how to keep track of everybody who's contacting you about their house. You got to have that. In the beginning, you can use a Google Sheet or whatever, but you got to have a CRM at some point if you're going to continue to do this. And then Mojo Dialer / Zen Call. This is for cold calling. So they offer something called a triple line dialer. So what that means is that you're literally calling 3 phone numbers at the same time. So what will happen is if you're calling on Mojo, you're calling 3 numbers at once. Let's say all 3 people pick up at once. The first one that picks up, that's who you're going to be talking to. The other people, like what we do is we record like a message of like silence, or we record me saying like, hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, I think I got a bad signal. I'll call you right back. So what that does is while I'm talking to the first person, that they're getting that message. When I finish the call, I'm calling them right away. And I've never had all 3 people pick up at once. I've had 2, but not 3. And that works very well, by the way, that strategy. So now you might be like, okay, Danny, thanks for all these tools, but where do I start? How do I get started right now? Well, the number one thing you got to do as a beginner is drive for dollars. Why? Because it's cheap. All you got to do is just put the money in the gas tank. Put the money in the gas tank, pick the area, and show me that you're willing to grind. And it's time to go get some money. Now, how does driving for dollars work, right? The first thing you want to do is you want to outline an area that you want to hit. You don't want to be driving all around all willy-nilly, because you're going to end up doubling back, hitting streets, getting frustrated. You're going to hit streets twice and 3 times. Pick an area. So for example, and I'll show you on the next slide, I'll just pick like a north border, a south border. So I'll just say Adams will be my north border, Jefferson will be my south border, Western will be my west border, and Normandy will be my east border. I'm gonna hit everything inside that. That's my task for the day, right? Then you can use your phone. You know, if you want a super tight budget, use your phone to write the addresses down, or use an app that'll keep track of them for you. I would say go with the app. It's only $100 a month. If you stop eating out, that'll get you the $100 you need right there. So here's a visual. Like, how do you stay organized when you're doing all of this? These are all driving for dollars areas that I've hit. And you see that I make notes on all the areas. I mark them with the date so I know when I was there. And like I said, before I leave the crib, I'm already knowing what I'm getting ready to do. I see El Segundo right here. I see Rosecrans right here. So I say, okay, I'm gonna hit, you know, everything between, like for this square here, I hit everything between El Segundo and 135th. And I had Normandy and Vermont as the east and west borders, right? So that was my square for the day. And I went home because you don't want to burn yourself out. I mean, I know in the beginning it's going to be exciting, but trust me, after an hour in the car of trying to concentrate and all that, trying to write down addresses, you're going to be a little burnt out. So I try to do like an hour to an hour and a half at a time at most. Here's what it looks like when I use the PropStream app. PropStream keeps track of everywhere I go. So when I hit the tracker button, all of these streets are streets that I drove. They were tracing me the whole time. And that's how I can easily keep track of where I've been. So that's why I say PropStream is getting better as an app. I wasn't a fan of it when I first got it, but now that they've added this driving for dollars component, I know they're going to continue to get better. So I think it's worth the money. So let's go over a quick video on how to stay organized with your leads. I'm going to show you what my CRM looks like. Tell me if you can hear the audio too, by the way. Through my personal CRM, it's called, can everybody hear that? And CRM stands for Customer Relationship Manager. So okay. It's really straightforward. All right, let me get it started at the right place, my bad. All right, y'all, so this is a quick walkthrough of my personal CRM. It's called Flip Pilot, and CRM stands for Customer Relationship Manager. So it's really straightforward. This is a system that I use to be able to keep track of all of the leads that come in, and you're going to need something like this as well. When you're first starting, you're not going to have as many leads, so you can just use, you know, a Google sheet or an Excel sheet to be able to keep track of it. But eventually you're going to want to switch over. This one is not really that expensive, relatively speaking. This is about $137 a month, so let's just say $140. And it's a really easy system. The reason why I like it is because I'm kind of a less is more type of person when it comes to stuff like this. So I don't like a whole bunch of buttons and crazy stuff going on. So here we can drag and drop these leads into their respective columns depending on what their status is, right? So right here is really straightforward. We have a column called Following Up, and we name these columns however we want, you know, based off of how our business works. So Following Up is a column that is designated for all of the leads that have come in that we need to follow up with. Straightforward, right? Appointment set right next to it is everything that has an appointment that we need to go out and see. Negotiating is everything that we're negotiating. We're at the table right now, knee to knee with the seller, going back and forth battling to get the number that we need to get, or at least try to get closer to it. Make an offer. These are the ones that we need to get offers out on. Awaiting offer response. We sent an offer out but haven't heard back what we needed to. Long-term follow-up. These are people who say, hey, man, call me next spring, call me next summer. For a lot of wholesalers, when they say that, you know, usually because you're chasing the check right this moment, it's easy to discard those people. But a lot of times they're not lying. They're just saying like, look, I want to sell, but it's too much going on right now. Call me next spring. And even if they are lying and they want to get you off the phone, the one thing that I've realized is that you never know what's around the corner, literally. So today, everything with your family is fine. Everything with your finances is fine. Tomorrow, everything could be totally different. So if you call them in that spring, maybe something has changed. Maybe they decide they want to move out of state and they want to sell, and then you're there, right? So we put them in this. Also, a bonus caveat about this system is that it sends out auto follow-ups. So once I drop them into this long-term follow-up, we don't even go after them anymore. My system does it automatically. It sends them a text. You can program the text to say whatever you want, or the emails to say whatever you want. And, you know, I keep it really general. So in that way, All I have to do is plug in the addresses and it'll send them, communication on a regular basis. Marketing, these are the ones that are being marketed to our cash buyers. Wholesale, these are the ones that are already closed. And this contract cancel column is just the deals that didn't necessarily work out. Referrals, this is kind of just where I keep, just a record of the deals that we did that came through referral. So this system, really straightforward, flip pilot, $137 a month. And yeah, that's just a quick walkthrough on a CRM. So then that way you kind of get an idea. Like I said, you can drag and drop, move stuff over, makes no real difference. So there you go. Boom. I like that guy. He knows what he's talking about. All right. So here we go. If you don't know this gentleman right here, his name is Max Maxwell. He's pretty much the most famous wholesaler in the business. This is just a quick snapshot of a video he was making on how to make your offer, right? So you're probably like, all right, Danny, I got it all, but how do I know how much I got to pay for the house? Well, that number is always going to start as the ARV, which stands for after repair value. You see that right here at the very top of the screen. What you're going to do is multiply that number by 0.7, which is the same thing as taking 30 off, right? So you see in his example, you're at 100,000. You took 30% off, that brought you down to 70,000. Now, if you multiplied this 100 by 0.7, you would have got here too. So it's the same thing, right? I know it can be a little confusing, so I just want to go over that. Some of y'all I know are math majors, but I'm not one. So just for the people like me, I just want you to know it's the same thing. So now you're at 70. And now you're looking at the property like, man, this thing needs about 20 grand in repairs. What am I going to do with this? So boom, let me take that 20 off. Now I'm at 50. And I got to make some money, right? So I got to make 10 to make this worth my time. So now my max offer is 40,000, right? Now, this is the very most that you can pay to make $10,000, this number right here. But we don't start with that number right there, because if the seller comes back and you say, hey, Mr. Seller, I can pay you 40,000. He's like, man, kick rocks. I got to get 45. Well, guess what happens? Guess who pays the extra 5? That 10,000 right there, your fee just went to 5 grand. Just that fast, because you started at your max number. What you want to do is start here, take 15% off your max number to give yourself cushion. Now, if the seller says, okay, I got to get 40, I got to get, let's say that he's like, I got to get 45. I'm like, okay, I can't do 45, Mr. Seller. I can do 40. And that's my walkaway number. I can do 40. Now, me personally, I wouldn't start at my max number. If he says 45, I'm like, all right, 37, but let's say you jump right there to that 40. He's like, all right, cool, I'll take the 40. Boom, your 10,000 is locked in. You good to go, on to the next deal. Anybody got any questions, by the way? Let me give people the ability to unmute, because I haven't even asked if anybody has questions.
There's a few questions.
Oh, my bad.
Kanisha asks, do you have to be a realtor to wholesale? And also her second question is, how do you wholesale out of state?
Okay, so the first answer is no, you do not have to be a realtor right now in California. Nor do you have to be one in Indiana, which is one of the states that I wholesale in. Now, in places like Ohio and I think Illinois, I believe they have banned wholesaling for people who are non-licensed. So
correct.
Yeah, so that can potentially and don't be surprised if you see those regulations start to come down the pipeline very quickly in other states, or eventually in other states, because here's the reality, right? They found out that Black folks was making a lot of money doing this. A lot of Black folks who might not necessarily been able to make this kind of money because of criminal histories, past incidents. So a lot of these realtors are lazy. They're like, wait a minute, why are you getting money that's supposed to be for me, even though I'm not willing to work for it? So they see, wholesalers becoming millionaires, guys who they feel like are quote unquote criminals, and they're starting to lobby to get this thing shut down. So there's the answer to your first question. The second one I'll answer briefly is that you do everything that I'm saying right now, but you do it with a team. Instead of you going on the appointments, you have acquisitions person on the ground who does it for you, which is what I do. And when we get to the end of the presentation, I can go deeper into that if you have more questions. Any more questions, Larry?
Yeah, Phil asks, how often do you touch people, touch your prospects, or touch your list?
So the way that we do it now, I have a cold caller who works for me full time. He's calling around the clock. So he's calling 4 hours a day, every day. And that's pretty much the recommended amount of time is about 3 hours a day on the phone. So he's calling different lists. And he's just going through them until we find, a diamond in the rough. And then we do our RVMs weekly. And then we do direct mail to a special select group. Like when I go driving for dollars, I have my driving for dollars list, obviously the houses that are beat up. But then, I got the all-stars. I mean, I'm talking about the one where it's old in the roof. You can see the sun coming through. Like that's on a highlight list. So I hit that highlight list with a special direct mail letter or postcard. It costs a little, but it's worth it because I know how bad your house is. So that's how we kind of stagger the communication.
Great. Had a comment here. Kat said Podio is a good platform to use to help stay organized in your workflow as well.
Boom, there it is. Yeah, Podio works for a lot of people. I'm just, for me, Flip Pilot just clicked for me because I could just click and drag, right? So that was easy for me. So that's why I love it. But yeah, by all means, Podio can be a lot cheaper and it can work for you.
Zai asks, how do you determine the repair cost?
Very good question. So if you're first starting off and you have no experience whatsoever with repair costs, you're going to have to do a little bit of work. What you probably need to do is try to link up with a contractor who can walk a property with you. Even if you got to pay him a couple bucks, it's worth it because he can walk the property with you, help you go over numbers, help you understand how much flooring costs per square foot to buy and then to install, how much windows cost to buy and then to install. And what you can do is you can pay that contractor, like let's say you pay a contractor $1,000, right? Let's just use $1,000. And you say, okay, Mr. Contractor, I want to ride around with you to 5, 10 different jobs, and you help me understand how much everything costs. That lesson that you just got is going to help you for infinity because now when you go on a property, okay, here's how much these items cost. Or even better, maybe the contractor will give you a per square foot number for rehab. So he might say, hey, look, if you got to rehab this whole house from bottom up, you're talking $75 a square foot. Well, now you can go in there and boom. Okay, we got 1,000 square feet, $75, 1,000, $75,000. All right, cool. I know how much the rehab is.
Yeah, that's pretty much the questions we have for now.
Okay, keep it rolling. All right, so running comps, right? Because I know you're like, man, how am I going to know what the ARV is, right? I know somebody's probably wondering, like, how do I know? You got to become really, really proficient at running comps. And it's not hard, man. It's literally the simplest thing in the world. Once you get to, the 15th, 20th property that you comp, you pretty much are starting to get the hang of it. So here's a quick video on how to do that inside of PropStream. All right, so real quick, we're gonna run through how to run comps, right? This is very, 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 very important part of wholesaling, flipping, etc. So right now I'm in the almighty PropStream. As you can see, we're gonna pull up a property that we actually have under contract right now, 27 Hardgeo Drive, Hardgeo, I don't know which one it is, don't really care, in Indy. So this property here is our subject property. You see it just came right up. This is why PropStream is dope because it has the driving for dollar side added to it now. Plus you can build lists, plus you can run comps, right? So the whole point of running comps is you want to find apples to apples comparisons. Now this house has been completely burned out on the inside. Right now, as you can see, it's 1,248 square feet, 3 beds, 1.5 baths. We're going to probably capture some more square footage on the build out. So we're probably going to be right at, 1350. And we're thinking we're going to go 4.2. So how do you run your comps? What we're gonna do after we find the address and everything is we're gonna go ahead and hit details. And that's gonna bring up all the information we need on the property. We got the owner's name, I mean, the zoning, the parcel number, literally everything you need. We're gonna scroll over right here to where it says comparables and nearby listings. Now, I'm going through this pretty quick. I've gone through this before, but I'm just giving you just a quick understanding on how to do this. So first off, date range is gonna be a year. That's accurate. We can leave that. Take the square footage off. It's not necessary. It's gonna end up filtering down our results more than we needed to. Distance, I don't care where you are, do 0.25 miles to start. Now, if you're somewhere where there's not a lot of houses that sold, because it's just an area that doesn't have a lot of flipped houses, or you're in a rural area, yeah, you got to go out to 0.5 miles. But right now, whether it's LA, Indy, I always start at 0.25, right? The status I want is sold. Now I'm gonna make sure, like I told you, apples to apples. So I'm not worried about bathrooms. The reason why you shouldn't worry either is A, you can count them yourself when they come up, and B, a lot of times the county records, which is where these records are being pulled from, don't account for bathrooms. So if you put this filter on, you're gonna end up with fewer results. So we're gonna go with minimum 3 bedrooms because we know that is what we're gonna have at least. All right. And if I'm gonna do a real apples to apples, I'm gonna go 3 to 3, 3 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms. That's gonna only give me 3. The first thing I did gave me 3s and 4s. All right. So now here's my results. My subject properties up here, it's frozen, so I can always keep an eye on that, which is cool. And now I have these other comps here. So my property's 1,300 square feet or so, 1,350. And we see that we got comps in the 200s. This is a very good thing. We're happy about this. So let's click on the highest one to start. So that's 225. Pretty nice property, 1,361 square feet. Nice job on the driveway outside. Okay, but it's being lived in. It was not renovated. See, it got carpet, has these old, I don't even know what you call these. Drapes, curtains, whatever. Older cabinets, wood panel cabinets, yup. So this house was able to get 225 without any real major upgrades. Now we got this other house here, looks a lot better. You could tell some real work's been done here. Look at the driveway, the landscaping. That's not cheap. You got a detached garage in the back, looking real nice. And you can tell what they did was originally this was the garage, you could tell. And they went ahead and converted it to more living space and built that garage in the back. Boom, here you go. There's that garage in the back. Let's see inside real quick. Okay, they rehabbed it. New flooring, new paint, boom. So now we know we got 225 and 215. So if we're gonna rehab our house and do a little bit nicer job, we can assume we're gonna come in somewhere between this range. So we could say like 220, right? We'll look at this last one, 131 Hardgeo or Hardgeo. They got 210, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. We're gonna have 2 bathrooms, but technically this isn't really a comp because I like to keep it within 300 square feet plus or minus. This one is 1,900, ours is about 1,350. So we can only go up to about 1,650 to still call it a comp, but at least you know kind of what's going on. Now, let's look at the condition just for the hay of it. Nothing really major done here. They did put some wood floors in, but you can solidly feel like you're going to be somewhere in that north of $200,000 range right now. So that's how we run comps. It's really that simple. This house right here got 200 grand, was on the market 37 days, and has literally no upgrades. I mean, you got some wood floors here, but these are original doors. Like it's nothing fly. It's nothing fly going on. That old flooring is nothing fly. So if they would have bumped this house up, 1,600 square feet, this would have been a comp because it's within 300. They would have easily gotten 220, 215 out of this. So we can look at this one, and this one that should have gotten, because it has no upgrades, at least this, and say comfortably between 225 and 215, that's where we're at. So we'll just say 220 just to be safe, right? Or if you want to be really conservative, we'll say 215, and that will be our ARV, because we know we have the comps to be able to support it. We know this house here got 200, but it could have easily gotten more if they would have gone ahead and done the upgrades, which they did not do, right? And that's how you pull comps. You find apples to apples. You see, I didn't use any 2-stories. I didn't use any freshly built homes. I found that homes that were built around the same time within a quarter mile in the same neighborhood. And that's how I was able to pull my comps. And I looked at the condition and used the condition to be able to compare it to mine and where mine is going to be when it's all said and done. All right. All right. So that is running comps. Now, once you get these properties under contract, you got to sell them to somebody, right? You got to get them off if you're not going to close on them yourself. So establishing a credible cash buyers list has to be a priority for every wholesaler. Now, if you're in a city like LA, I'm gonna tell you right now, you get a deal under contract, a good deal, you put it on Craigslist or something like that, it's gone. You're gonna have 100 people calling your phone. You're gonna have no problem selling it. But if you're in somewhere like the Midwest, down south, a smaller market, your cash buyers list is gonna make you or break you, period. So you gotta spend as much money. I'm saying money. You gotta spend as much time as you do looking for sellers as you do looking for buyers, because you always got to find fresh buyers, people with money who are looking to rehab houses. And here's a quick video on how to find cash buyers. Okay, so you got your first contract. You need to market it. You got to find cash buyers in order to sell it to. Where do you find the cash buyers? Well, that's the beauty of a site like PropStream, is because everything is in this one box. So let's just go with the example of 27 Hargeo, like we did on the other video. Now I pull the property up, same drill as before, but check this out though. This box right here says cash buyers. So I'm gonna go ahead and click this. And it's showing me all of the people who bought properties cash within half a mile of this property. Now, all I have to do is just take these properties, hit this box right here, add them to a list. So if I hit this button here, it says add to list. I'll create a new list. This will be, just a test, RGO cash buyers. I would hit save, and all of these cash buyers that you see, all 956 of them will go into my cash buyer database. And at that point, I could cold call them, I could send RVMs, I could send texts, I could send letters or postcards and ask them if they're looking for more properties. Usually cash buyers are. And that's how you start to build your buyers list. Okay, simple as that, right? So we're getting towards the end of the presentation. So we'll talk a little bit about the art of problem solving, right? So this was a success story. I bought this property from a gentleman named Randall. Randall was in a very complicated situation because his property, he basically got foreclosed on, but the lender, the guy who ran the company, went to jail for fraud during the 2008 crisis. So the company literally had no, who was annotating on the screen right now? Joanne Russell, is you writing all over my screen? Need you to hit the eraser real quick. I don't even know how to get rid of that. So the company went under because of fraud. So literally there was nobody to talk to about trying to get a release on this whole thing. So I had to do something called a quiet title. What that means is basically I file a lawsuit that says anybody who has a claim against this property has to show up to court and let it be known, so that way we know what they're owed so they can be paid. Now, I didn't do it myself, my lawyer did it. But they have a certain amount of time to make claim. If they do, I would have lost the deal. But they didn't because the guy was in jail, so it worked out. Now look at this date. This is March 20th. By the way, this isn't the first contact I had with Randall. I think I started talking to Randall in January of 2019. All right. Next slide. This is the day I sold the house. 12/19. It's a whole year. Look at the amount. This is the biggest deal I ever did. $64,921.46. I hope you're awake, because this took a year to get done. How many of y'all would have stuck with it for a year? That's why I said you cannot let these leads slip through the cracks. Randall ghosted me for months, but I knew how much money was in this deal, so I wasn't letting it go. I'm talking about 30 text messages, 30 calls, no response over the course of months. And then one day, out of nowhere, he popped back up. Man, I'm sorry, everybody been in my ear about this house, man, and trying to get it. But you know, I said I was gonna sell it to you, man. So what can you do? He ended up coming back asking for more money, but I knew it was still a good deal, so we made it crack. So this is what it takes, is being organized and being consistent. The person who's the most consistent will get the deal. Don't give up. Until they tell you they're not selling, do not give up. Okay. This is the last slide. And this is the second biggest deal I ever did. $25,000 assignment fee down here. This was on a guy named Gerald down in Long Beach. This was the hardest deal I ever worked on. It took me and a partner, which is why I have this here, which I'll explain in a minute. We had to put our heads together to try to get this realtor, this shiesty realtor, out the deal, who basically kind of scammed Gerald. And she was dragging her feet on putting her earnest money down, and she left a window open, and we went right through it on. So this is important not because I want to show you how much. I want to show you, A, it's possible, and B, do not be greedy. A lot of wholesalers, realtors are very greedy. So you might do a deal with them, they want more than 50%. They want to take all the meat off the bone. I had a partner on this. Tony was my partner, and Tony made 25 and I made 25. It's a $50,000 fee. Now, if I would have been like, hey, I got to get the whole 50, it's my deal, it's my marketing. By the way, this came from probate, as you can see in the parentheses. This is the reason why it's important to hit the probate list, because his pops died, and long story short, his pops was a wild dude, a molester, all kind of crazy stuff happened in that house. And that's how I found him, was on the probate list. And if I'd have been greedy, neither Tony or myself would have gotten paid. But we took it, broke the bread right down the middle, and everybody had a good payday. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you guys so much. I hope it wasn't too long or drawn out. And
we have a couple other questions, Danny.
Okay.
Sean asks, in PropStream, what is your search criteria? So I'm guessing he asking for a specific strategy, because I know if you are going after probates, you have a certain search criteria versus a different search criteria if you're going after back taxes. So he's asking, give an example of a search criteria.
Okay, so let me see if I can do that for you real quick.
And he also asked a follow-up question: how do you determine which market target out of all the United States? How do you determine that?
Okay, so let me take down one at a time real quick. I'm going to show you just like some basic filters you can put in on PropStream that'll help you. Now, the filters that you're going to use are going to kind of they're going to vary depending on what you're trying to do at the time. But I'm just going to give you like some quick tidbits that, that'll help you get off and rolling real quick. So one of the most popular lists and the best list to hit in PropStream is the vacant houses list, right? So the first thing you want to do, let's just say we're looking at a zip code, 9990007 here in LA. This is right by UFC. And I'm gonna hit this filter button right here. First thing I'm gonna do for owner occupied, I'm gonna put any status. I don't care because I want the house to be vacant. Now, occupancy status, I'm gonna hit vacant. Let me stretch this out on you real quick. So you got 29 vacant houses so far, right? Now for property characteristics, what I want you to do is hit single, condo, multifamily. Unless you're looking for apartments or any of these special things down here, don't mess with it. Now, MLS status, now you see that took it down to 15, right? MLS status, we're gonna hit on market is gonna be no. Because we don't, and yes, I am recording this for anybody that's wondering, it'll be on YouTube tomorrow. So no for on market. We don't want any deals that are on the market. Pre-foreclosure and bank owned, this allows you to be able to go after stuff that's in pre-foreclosure. I'm not focusing on pre-foreclosure right now, so I'm not going to mess with that. But if you want to target pre-foreclosures, you absolutely can with this filter. The ownership info. Now, here's a very interesting tidbit. You should put a minimum of 3 years here, because what happens is a lot of times somebody will sell the house, mail will be coming to the house for them even though they've moved. House will be flagged as vacant, but it's not vacant. There's a new owner in the body. System hasn't caught up. So if you put 3 years minimum ownership, what that does is it makes sure that you're filtering out all those recent moves, right? The owner type, you can go with any. If you go with any, they'll just leave it like it is, all. But if you don't, like, say you're like, look, whatever I skip trace, I never get anybody back when it's an LLC or a corporation that owns the property. So I want just regular individual mom and pop owners. What you would do is click this box that says individual. You see, it took you down to 6 results. Now, there's a number of property owned filter. There's an absentee owner filter. I really don't mess with these right now. The next one that I usually touch, also there's a lien and bankruptcy filter. This is also going to depend, the quality of the data you're going to get back is going to depend on how good the county is that you're messing with. If the county doesn't keep track of these things or make them available to the public very easily, you're not going to get good results back. The last one that I focus on is equity percentage, because you got to make sure the person has equity so they can walk away from the table with money and you can walk away with something too. So I usually put my equity at 40%. And that kept it at 6. So I would close this, and here are my 6 properties that I have that I can go after in this zip code that are vacant, that have 40% equity. So hope I answered your question with that.
That's great. Lucy asks, what's a probate list? And also, she also asks, can you go over canceling a contract due to not finding buyers? And I want to say to that second part, Lucy, Danny will say this as well, that when you have a deal, you don't have to worry about not finding a buyer, right? A cash buyer. Cash buyers are actively looking for people like wholesalers to bring them deals. Now, the deal you may have in contract may be overpriced, or you want too much for it. In that case, you have to go back to the seller and renegotiate. But if you have a deal, you don't have to worry about not finding a buyer. It's literally people will beat down your door to make money.
Yep, that's 100% accurate. What didn't my man have another question?
What's a probate list?
No, the first question. Yeah, 2, right?
Yeah, he said, how do you determine what market you want to target?
Oh, so with that, I mean, there's a lot of different criteria you can use. I mean, I would say the first one is figure out a market that you can work, that you feel comfortable with. So even if it's out of state, figure out a market where you can go. You can try to get with somebody who can be your acquisitions person. Make sure they're available to go on your appointments. Make sure you're comfortable with being organized enough to be out of state and stuff like that. The reason why my business works is because I have a full-time virtual assistant in the Philippines who's incredible. She keeps us on point with all our administrative tasks. Those were all the tasks that I used to do. But you can definitely make it work. We're making it work right now. One thing you might want to do too is look at the median price of homes. So in the Midwest, median price of homes is going to probably hover around 150,000. So those markets you're going to have lower sales prices. You're going to have lower profits on your wholesale deals, but you'll probably be able to get deals a little easier. Here in LA, you're going to work a lot harder to get your first deal. You're going to work a lot harder, but when you do get it, you're going to get paid really well. You probably won't make anything less than 10,000. And really 10,000 is a slap in the face in LA. You shouldn't walk away with anything less than 20 to 25.
Yeah, that's great. I want to give you guys an example just for some motivation. Danny, you already know this story. I've never wholesaled nothing previously, right? However, I have a friend of mine who lives in Georgia, and he wholesales something here in LA and made over $200,000. Not even in the business, right? Not even in business. I counsel him for what I know. I counseled him, and he made over $200,000 wholesaling a deal. So that is an extreme home run to make $200,000 appear out of nowhere.
Yeah. And then, to follow up on your answer about canceling the contract. So when you put the property under contract, what you want to do is try to give yourself as much cushion as you can during your quote unquote inspection period. What we go for, a lot of times we just put 21 business days in there just to see if we can get it. And a lot of times we do get it. And what that does is it allows us a nice amount of time to be able to find a buyer for the deal. Now, in the Midwest, you could have a good deal, but it not sell right away, simply because that's just the culture. It's a little slower. People are used to seeing cheap properties. There's not as much of a sense of urgency. But in LA, if you have a good deal, it will be gone, period. So again, if you have to cancel, then cancel. You don't want to get in the habit of canceling because you don't want to tie sellers up and have them under contract when they could have gone with somebody else who actually could have bought the house faster or actually closed on it. But you do want to give yourself a chance to be able to make that deal happen. And do not ghost your sellers, man, because the reason why a lot of this regulation is coming down the pipelines because a lot of wholesalers are fly by night and sloppy, and they get these people tied up into these deals. People are going into foreclosure, people getting ready to lose houses to taxes, and these wholesalers don't know what they're doing. And when they can't find a buyer, they're not communicating with the seller and saying, hey, I got to cancel this deal so you have more time to find somebody else. They're just running off. And the seller's still underneath the contract. So don't be that person. If you feel the walls closing in, call me, call another wholesaler that's experienced so we can look at it and either help you move the deal or tell you, hey, it's done. Let the seller out so they can do their thing.
Also, Danny, somebody asked, where did you hire your caller from?
My caller came from a company called Call Motivated Sellers. So that's where I got Mauricio from. And then that company has since fractured and turned into two different companies. So Call Motivated Sellers still exists, but he's working for another company now. Now, one thing that you will probably hear a lot about is hiring callers in the Philippines to call for you. I did that. I lost a lot of money doing that because my caller in the Philippines was just not that good. And there was a culture barrier that he couldn't get over. So I wouldn't advise it unless you're dealing with somebody who you have to, if you pick a caller in the Philippines, you're going to have to pay them more because they're going to have to be really good, and the really good ones cost. And those people understand the dialect. They understand kind of the pacing of conversations in the United States. They understand the sarcasm. Most of the time, they probably either gone to school here or they've worked for call centers dealing with American customers a lot. And they have the slightest bit of an accent, not anything heavy. And that's not to be discriminatory against anybody, but the reality is if you're calling the Midwest, or the South, there's a bias a lot of time with those people. You know, they're very prejudiced. So if they hear somebody that's not a certain kind of tone or voice, they're gonna automatically shut down. So you just got to keep that in mind. In LA, no problem. Everybody in this whole city got an accent, so it ain't gonna be a big deal.
Great. Jay says, I'm thinking of going hard door to door knocking pre-foreclosure in LA. Any advice?
Yeah, wear a bulletproof vest. You're gonna be door knocking.
Let me tell you a quick story. I bought and sold. I did that. I bought and sold a house at 4183 LaSalle Avenue. Sold it in 2005. It's the only flip I ever did, right? I knocked on 100 doors to get that flip. 100 doors. And that house was the worst house on the block. It was the house that sold weed, sold crack, or whatever. House with 20 homies on in the front of it, anytime during the day. I went initially with my wife in front and saw about 20 guys in front of it. And then I said, okay, I'll come by and back in the morning. I got back Saturday morning, 9 a.m. It was still 5 guys there in the morning drinking beer. But anyway, I pulled it off. But what Danny said is right. Wear a bulletproof vest. You'll get people sizing you up. You'll be in some dangerous situations. But if that doesn't scare you, if you feel like I felt, my financial freedom was on the other side of that door, I encourage you to do it. I bought that house for $129 and I sold it for $460,000.
Boom, boom. So yeah, Jay, like first off, I'm gonna salute you just for having the stones to try to do it, because it's intimidating for a lot of people. To be honest, for me, even sometimes I gotta shake out of that, because I'm like, man, I don't feel like calling these sellers and getting cussed out. But then I gotta think about what I'm trying to get to on the other side, right? So if you really want to do it, man, just do it with the right intentions. I don't care if you see 18 Crips, Bloods, whatever outside. Just walk up and be like, man, I'm just looking for a house, man. I'm an investor. I'm trying to find a house to flip. Y'all know anybody that's selling a house? What about this house? If they tell you, nah, cuz, you better go. You know what I'm saying? But if you never know, they might be like, man, you know what? We about to move, whatever. You never know what'll happen. So don't let the fear stop you, man. Go out there and do it. One thing about wholesaling is that it's very simple, but it's not easy. People get it mixed up. Very simple to get up every day, drive for dollars, and make your phone calls. Not easy, though.
I don't think we had any more questions in the chat. Anybody have any other questions?
I'm only here for one night only. Y'all better ask now. Some of these other people would have charged y'all $5,000 for this information.
One of the things I want to encourage the group, if you're interested in wholesaling, is, YouTube it. There's a ton of people out there giving information, and you can piece some other stuff, some other motivation or some things together by watching a ton of videos, right? So like where to find the contract, right? I don't think we went over that, Danny, about how the contract looks and how the contract from the buyer, from you to the seller, from the seller to the end buyer looks. That's a little detail, but those are the things that that's something that you're gonna need the contract.
Yeah, that's wholesaling 102 and 103. I'm giving you 101 for free, so that way you can, I just want to do for you what was done for me, and that's shifting the paradigm to let you know that there is a way for you to be able to make money in this business. Alicia's asking me, do I partner on deals? I absolutely do. I don't have a mentorship program right now because I'm trying to build my own business right now, and I don't want to take anybody's money and not give them the proper attention. But if you ever get jammed up on a deal, you can always call me. You can always email me. You can always DM me, and I will help you, because that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to serve. That's my calling. So I'm down to help for sure until the time that I decide I want to make myself a guru and buy a Ferrari and get on IG and start selling y'all courses. But until then, I'm giving the game up for free. So don't be afraid, Alicia. If you got a deal out there, I know you from the D. So I know it's some money out there. If you get jammed up, hit my line. I'll help you walk through the deal and do whatever I can.
Danny, whatever happened to that Inglewood deal that you called me about?
Man, so this is okay. I'm so glad that Biggs put me on spot with this deal. I tricked that deal off completely, and somebody came by and bought it not too long after you and I talked. I reached out to the city. I got the zoning on it. I spoke to the seller and never locked the deal up. Got caught up in just life in general. That's why I said wholesaling is simple but not easy. It was simple for me to call him and do what I was supposed to do. It wasn't easy for me at the time because I had too much going on. And Biggs helped me out. I wasted Biggs' time. I called Biggs and was like, hey, man, what do you think about how much it cost to build this out? He helped me out and I didn't get that deal closed. So that's just to show you right there, like in front of all of y'all, I'm accountable. I didn't do what I was supposed to do on that. And I'm trying to perfect my craft right now to not let any of those other opportunities slip through. But on the flip side, though, Biggs, that does show the power of what I was saying. That was a driving for dollars lead that called us back, and he had a property that really was, he had a regular property that was on a huge lot. So I knew it was perfect for a developer. Problem was I didn't have any developer connects to be able to move it to. So I think that's kind of what shook me a little bit, if I'm gonna be honest with y'all. And it was a deal. Driving for dollars works. I told y'all. It just happened right there. Just happened. So, but yeah, that was one, man, I dropped the ball on. So now I think I probably owe Biggs a deal or something, or dinner or something. I don't know.
Oh, that's great. There's a question out there from Sean. Trying to determine ARV. What about knockdowns and rebuild? A lot of new construction from old houses. How do we know what knocking down the house and developing new construction?
Man, that's a really good question. I had to call Biggs on that one because I didn't have the experience. You know, I know that a lot of times people will use a loophole to avoid certain types of permits. They'll make sure they keep one wall from the existing structure so they can call it a rehab and not a new build. But as far as the cost goes per square foot, I don't know. Biggs, you want to chime in on that?
You know what? I never found the real philosophy behind that. I know some people will actually tear it down and leave that one raggedy wall or whatever. But if somebody's going to actually do that, from the guy that I saw, he actually, you know, after it was inspected, he just did everything new. But I never found out. I just do everything new right now. So I never found out what the real advantage is of trying to keep that one wall and doing everything. So, because I don't do it.
Okay. And what about, like, do you have like a ballpark square footage, you know, price per square foot that you look at when you're getting ready to go from ground up?
It really depends on what the deal is. What's it going to end up being? Like, I just got a couple of houses that I'm tore down, and I'm doing triplexes on the two lots. So it's just a matter of, you know, what the ideal finished product is going to be to decide what the square foot
Got it.
is going to be.
Okay, got it. Oh, Crystal said she thought it might have been for taxes, purpose of taxes, keeping that one wall up.
They still hit you on those taxes, though. I mean, even with, they have some school district tax that's like way out of control, but they're not even supposed to charge you the full amount. So, and I've been hit with this twice. They'll charge you the full amount of whatever this tax is, but they really should only be charging you from how much the old price was up until the new price. So I actually had an attorney get that money back for me. But it's a lot of tricky things the city do to you.
Okay, there it is. Joanne said, she said that you save on city fees. You're supposed to save on city fees while leaving that wall up. Jay, you had one that you fumbled too. Yeah, man. I hate being in the fumble club, man, but I'm definitely in there over that Inglewood deal. Yeah, Donnie said it's not considered a new build. Yep, exactly. So that's what I heard. That was my understanding too, was that they could avoid certain regulations or hurdles by keeping that wall up. But obviously, I've never done it, man, so I don't know. And I trust Biggs, because he done built way more than I have. So, okay, any other questions, man? Anybody got any other questions, man? Make it crack. Oh, so Phil he said, yo, we talked about this before. I got a spot that's been beat down. I got the owner's number off PropStream, called the number, was no good. I emailed, got no response. I see every day just sitting there. What's the next move I should make? This is a great question, man. So you got to go put a note on the door. Like you got to put a note on the door. This is like really what I specialize in, is catching people in this situation. So if you get to the situation where you're like, man, I can't find the person, that's where you got to be like Jay and say, all right, man, I'm about to just bust through this fear and do what I got to do. So one thing you can do is tape a note to the door. Another thing you can do is send them, go to the post office, go get one of those big envelopes, priority, right? Put a letter in that. You know when those come, you ain't never got one of those in your house and didn't open it. Keep it a buck. So you know if it gets to them, you got the tracking information to know it got there. If you send it certified, they got to sign for it. And now you know they got it. And if they don't call you back, then you know they're not interested right now. But hey, you send them one of them big envelopes every month, they're gonna probably call eventually, like, hey man, stop sending envelopes to my crib, man. Or they're gonna be ready to sell or talk about selling. So, you know, that's the next step for me, Phil. You gotta go, if you got the mailing address, man, go find the owner's mailing address and start sending those envelopes. I see we got a hand raised too.
I didn't see that. Phil, also, I want to say too that if you got the mailing address and it's in California, if you can drive there, if you're feeling really confident about your talking skills, knock on his door.
Yeah, definitely. And don't be afraid to not get it, man. Don't be afraid to not get it, man. It's like, for fellas, I gotta put it in this perspective, you know, use this analogy. It's just like when you try to talk to, you know, a girl at the club or whatever, like you know, you scared of getting rejected. So that's the reason why you're not talking. And meanwhile, you're standing by yourself. So you'd be better off taking that leap of faith and getting rejected. At least you broke the ice, you know what I'm saying? Now you vibing. So, you know, if you don't get the deal, then hey, you don't get the deal. But at least now you're that much more experienced. You're one step closer to getting the deal. Because you might have said something stupid. So you say, you all right, next time let me make sure I don't say that again. You know.
That's so interesting. So also I'll give you a tip. When I was knocking on doors, my flip, I said I've knocked on over 100 doors, and I would as many doors that I went to and left and said, damn, I shouldn't have said that. Why did I say this? And why did I say that? By the time I got to my eventual purchase, one I got, I was well versed on what I should and shouldn't say. Right. And the last tip I'll give is when you knock on the door, make sure you take about 4 or 5 steps back away from the door so that people aren't intimidated that you're right there at the door, right in front of them. Right. So take about 4 or 5 steps back so they have a comfortable space, and then you can converge. They'll be able to talk to you.
Man, that's a really good tip. I see Rob, you got a question?
Yeah, my question was, you said about the 69,000 and some of the other deals. How does the government tax you on that, especially the capital gains?
I hate that I got to answer this question while this is being recorded.
Oh, well, don't do it then. I'm friends with Larry. Put it to him, and then I'll find out.
Okay, yeah, I will, because there are definitely some things. I'll put it like that. But yeah, I will. I'll definitely get that answer to you. Most definitely.
Okay, thank you.
No. Thank you, sir. Absolutely. Anybody else got any other questions? Any other questions? Oh, Monica said, when is the next investment opportunity for the group? That is a very good question. So I have been dealing with a lot of stuff lately, life stuff in general, and I've been spending a lot of time meditating on this. What should we do next? How should we do it? So because this is a community thing, I don't want to just make the call on my own. I want to talk to y'all, the family, and see what y'all think. So I need to know what you guys want to do. Like, do you want to own a commercial space like a strip mall and lease those out to tenants who might have a restaurant or a store? Do you want to try to get a piece of land and build an apartment complex, to be able to house some of our people? Do you want to buy something that's existing? Or do you just want to try to renovate houses? What do you want to do? Because that's what's going to determine how much we need to raise and how we need to raise it. Also, just to give you an insight into my brain, I would like to be able to build affordable housing to be able to put our people up, because our people need affordable housing. And if we're being completely honest, I'm about to go off on a tangent right now. So if y'all sensitive, log off or whatever. But LA has become completely hostile to Black people. The walls are closing in on us from every single side. If you haven't been paying attention, the numbers for every other group of people are going up. Meanwhile, we're being pushed out or we're being priced out. So at this point, we have to get a grip on how serious this issue is. They're literally trying to get the Black population in LA down to 5% like they did in San Francisco. San Francisco was the prototype and they achieved their goal. They got it down to 5%. So that's a manageable Black population for the government and dominant society and others. So the reason why I'm saying, okay, I encourage a lot of Black people who are not tied to California or Los Angeles to consider relocating to other states where they can do better and then come back eventually, is because I'm watching the greater macroeconomic trends. I'm starting to see what's happening. I'm looking at the numbers on Skid Row and I'm seeing that it's more of us than anybody down there and it's going up. It's not getting better. So that's a side thing. Now, for the people who are going to be hard-headed and stay in LA and not leave because they can or whatever, then I want to be able to create affordable housing for those people. That's just a window into my soul a little bit. What are we seeing in the chat? People saying affordable housing. Yes, affordable housing. Yeah, gentrification is ridiculous. Believe it. And it's targeted, and that's the reason why we're seeing it happening the way it's happening. A senior center, yeah, that's another one. We got to take care of the elders in our tribe out here. Kanisha said she's at the point of relocating. Don't think about it. Do it. Do it. I know this group is called Buy Back the Block LA. I know some of y'all not gonna agree with me because you're like, man, I love LA. I could never imagine not living in LA. Hey, listen to me when I tell you, I have evidence that I will present to you that will show you that the target is to get you up out of here or to get your population numbers down so low that you have no base, no protection, no nothing here. You better look around. You know, just to give y'all a quick story, probably shouldn't even be telling y'all this. On March 18th last year, it was my father's 71st birthday. I spent that day with him in a jail cell because we got arrested because he got into an altercation with somebody who was illegal, who was out selling corn on one of the carts or whatever in front of the house. He and the guy get into a verbal altercation. It turns physical. The guy pulls a knife out on my dad. My dad says, yo, bring my gun. I never hear this, right? From my pop. So what do? Good son. First thing I do is grab the burner. I'm shooting down the stairs. I realized that there's not a need to take it there. He took the knife from the dude, whatever. So I go back in the house, put the weapon away, whatever. A couple minutes later, police show up. They look like the guy who we got into the altercation with. Guess what happens? My dad, veteran, never been to jail, 71 years old, birthday, goes to jail. Assault with a deadly weapon is the charge, felony. I go to jail, brandishing a firearm. That's the environment that you're living in. The person he got into it with was let go because he looked like the officers who showed up to the scene. When I hired my attorney, who eventually got all that stuff out of there, he said to me, you don't believe how often I see this happen. A lot of times the officers will show up. There'll be somebody who's from their community who's into it with a Black person. That Black person will then be arrested because the officer knows that undocumented person will not show up to court. So they'll arrest you, let them go so they can go on and stay in the country and continue doing what they're doing. And then you have to pay the lawyer fees. You have to pay the bail. Okay. Y'all probably think I'm playing. Stay in Cali too long if you want to. I'm telling you right now, they're trying to get you out. So you have to start to think ahead. So if you're living bad here in California, you can't pay your rent, you're struggling, you don't feel safe, your kids don't have what they need, but you could take your same skill set and go to another place like Houston or Atlanta or North Carolina and be able to live a good life. And you won't do it because you got an emotional tie to LA because you love LA. Does LA love you back? Just a question. Just a question. So, Kenesha, yes, if you're looking to relocate, you're thinking about it, get your skills up. If you skilled already, then good. If not, get a skill that's viable, that's marketable, that's needed, and go somewhere and level up. Come back home. Come back to LA when you get right. But don't let them push you into poverty and push your kids in a bad situation, all because you just loyal to the city that's not loyal to you anymore. Any other questions?
I just want to add, and that's why it's always good to level up on stocks or investments or any other skill that you can grab, so that you can stay here and afford the city. We got a lot of time that we can spend leveling up and finding a trade like Danny mentioned, and or living up on a computer skill, so that you can stay here, getting those high powered jobs that are out there that they can't even feel.
Yeah. And so that's why, I'm talking to I'm talking to my Black men right now. If you are not a protector and a provider, you are completely useless to the community at this point. Our women and our children need to be protected and provided for. You got too many people out here running around trying to rap, trying to hoop. Yeah, I get it. That's a talent that you have, but you need a marketable skill in the meantime. So, no, I'm not trying to run you out the city. And, Joanne, I see you said, can we stand our ground? We absolutely can. We need to try to hold as much property as we can, but just understand the environment that you're in. South Central isn't what it used to be. It's not dominated by us anymore. So we're being pushed into a smaller and smaller confine, and we just have to be honest and realistic about what's going on. So, Black men, I need you to level up. I need you to get skills. Working a job for a corporation isn't a skill. Being able to fix something, being able to create something, that's a skill. You can go anywhere in the country and eat. That's a skill. Being able to buy property and develop it like Biggs does, that's a skill. Being a mortgage broker like Larry, that's a skill. You need a skill. So, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox, man, but I just had to get that off tonight because it's important.
All right.
Any other questions? If not, we tapping out.
I think that's it, Danny.
All right, we out of here, man. Well, appreciate y'all tapping in. I hope this has been helpful. And yeah,
I got
one quick
question. One quick question. Do we have some type of investor list that who are willing to invest?
We don't have a list like that. The first time we went around, we just knew who was willing the day that the checks had to be turned in. We knew who was willing to go because that's who showed up. We had a lot of people who did have their hand up and say, hey man, I'm ready. I want to do it, but they weren't there on the day. And that's not a shot at them because some of them hit me directly and said, man, look, I had some nice stuff come up. I get it, but the ultimate test is really going to be that day that you have to show up with your portion of the funds. And if you got it, then you're in, it's just that simple. So it looks like overwhelmingly tonight it's been affordable housing. So, I feel like now we need to try to get with our developers in the group and talk about what that number looks like. Like, how much do we have to come with as a community to be able to get that loan? Like, if we're talking to Biggs, what type of loan can we get? What down payment do we need to have? How much cushion do we need to have? And let's target that number. So then that way, when we get there, we can go grab a piece of land and develop it. I had a very good deal in Van Nuys that Crystal and I were looking at that we didn't have the developer connects to move it, but it was, you could have built 20 units on it, and it was right in Van Nuys, the heart of Van Nuys. It would have stayed leased up. So, yep. Joanne said, how do we connect? Joanne, hit Buy Back the Block LA on Instagram or Buying Back LA on Twitter. Or you can find us on Facebook. Join the Facebook group. Just drop a message in there. I'll get to you. Send a DM. I'll get to you. It might take me a day or two, but I'll get back to you for sure. Still got 40 people in here. Y'all just hanging out tonight. Y'all ain't got nothing to do, huh?
All right.
Oh, man.
Oh, before we go, I wanted to share the one thing about far as being skilled. Years ago, I thought about becoming a lineman. Right? I don't know if you guys know what that is, but lineman is those guys who are on the power poles for DWP, and they make a tremendous amount of money. And so the place you can go to get skilled or get trained for that job is right in East LA, called the East Los Angeles Skill College, right? It's down, you go down there and you have to complete this training. I believe it's like I don't know the number of hours, don't quote me. I think it's about 8 to 12 weeks of training. It's a very rigorous training because that is a very rigorous and detailed job. However, you're starting off at almost 6 figures, right? So if that's something that you want to do, and then you can be employed anywhere in the nation, right? If you come out of LA, East Los Angeles Skill College, and you get on, you're employable anywhere in the nation. You can take that skill anywhere and get on and have a job. So if you're interested in becoming a lineman, I don't have the direct information, but it's East Los Angeles Skill College. They have the actual polls there, and it's you can call them and go down there and get the information. And they rotate. So, gentlemen and ladies, if there are ladies who do this job as well, you should just know it's going to be very rigorous, but very rewarding pay-wise when you're done.
Hi, this is Joanne Russell. I have a friend who's starting an apprentice program. They got funding through Southern California Edison, and it's for African Americans. I will put that in the buyback when I reach out to you guys. Yeah, they just sent it to me this week.
Joanne,
Okay. Is that for linemen as well, Joanne?
Yes, it's for lineman training, and they're specifically looking for African Americans to build up their team. Yeah, specifically for African Americans.
Yes, that's a field that we aren't in, guys. When I looked into it for myself years ago, we were very like 1%, not even 1% in that field.
Yes. So okay, I'll make sure I get it to you guys.
Thank you,
And
Joanne.
they can also look at LA Trade Tech as well. I think they have a line program as well.
Yeah, I think it might be connecting with Trade Tech, but they're getting the scholarship funds through this other program to be able to pay for it and the mentorship that they need. Because like you were saying, it's a lot of work. I think the college they're connecting with is Trade Tech.
That's where it's at. That's it right there. So Joanne, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. Wow, we really need to get that information. And the other gentleman who spoke up, thank you so much. If you guys can get us that info, we will promote that heavily on the Buy Back the Block social media.
Can you give me an email?
Absolutely. I'm gonna drop the email right now in the chat, so that way you can.
Okay.
It's just Danny at buybacktheblockla.com.
Danny. Okay. DANNY.
I'm putting it in the chat for you.
Okay, I'm on my phone. Me and this phone. That's how come I was annotating on your stuff.
Oh, that was you drawing on my screen?
That was me. I didn't even know you could do that. I was trying to make the screen bigger and it kept making these red lines.
That's funny. Yes.
Wonderful, gentlemen. That's probably why I was on here to the end. Yeah.
No, thank you so much. And Robbie, you said you got a son, 25. We got to save him, man. I'm telling you, man, they're trying to get him up out of there. The jobs are starting to disappear for people his age. They got to get skilled. So we need him to be in one of these programs. Most definitely. Phil, I know Phil said, think becoming a plumber, is that a good thing? Yes. Phil, if you don't believe it, I will connect you with my man in Houston. He can tell you how much he pays his plumber. I can tell you how much I pay the plumbers in Indy. And I'm sure Biggs and Larry can tell you how much they pay. That's a very good trade to be in. If you can perfect it, you'll always be working.
You know, that's us young
Another
man.
thing, that the lineman job, they don't care about your previous past. That's not a question they're going to ask you on the application. So, gentlemen, if you have a past, you don't have to be worried about it. You can be day one and go get that job.
Man, incredible.
Yeah.
Crystal too. Yeah, Crystal do so many jobs, man. Crystal tell you how much she probably pays her plumbers and electricians, framers.
Yeah, just real quick. Yeah, plumbers definitely make, because I was working in LA Trade, and they have the programs for the plumbers, electricians, and the linemen. But my day-to-day job, I'm the acquisitions coordinator for a show on HGTV that does flipping houses or whatever. And we actually just picked up one of the plumbers actually from the trade program to do some work for the houses. So, I mean, he's going to be pretty busy because we flip at least 30 to 40 houses at a time. So,
Wow.
that's here in LA and in Tulsa. So, yeah, it's a lot of, opportunity in those spaces if you step into those spaces and take opportunity with them.
Wow, that's incredible, man. And I think that's a great success story. You just pull somebody right out the program.
Yeah, he came to check out the property one day, and then he helped do the work, and then they just kept him on full time. So
yeah, and Phil, by the way, like when you get in and become a plumber, the job is not to work for somebody else the entire time. The job is to get in, figure out your craft, master your craft, and become that top tier 1% of plumbers, and then start your own thing. That's definitely the goal. So you want to get in, soak up as much game as you can, because look, a lot of things are becoming automated, man. I mean, you look at these checkout counters at Walmart, Home Depot, the grocery store, those are jobs that are going up in smoke. Being a cashier is not a skill. It's just not. Anybody can do it. So if you think about it, some of the jobs that won't be automated anytime soon are those trades. So you're going to be insulated from that, for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. And those are the things we gave up, thinking we were getting ahead and getting degrees. Now we've got these degrees and no jobs.
Degrees saddled with debt, no jobs. Yeah. This is a very real thing. And if we're just being honest, they funnel a lot of Black women into these positions because they always tout those numbers about how Black women pursue higher education and higher numbers than everybody else. The translation is that they're racking up more debt than anybody else. And they know that when these women finish, a lot of times they're getting degrees in areas that they can't monetize the degree in. So now you have these degrees, you've done all these things, but your skills are not marketable in that kind of way. They hire somebody else who might have come over on an H-1 visa. Now you're saddled with student loans and nobody's talking about it. So we got to get our people redirected into skills that are actually marketable and needed. You need nurses. You need people in IT. You need tradespeople. Do you need a degree in sociology? Absolutely not.
Okay, you'll have this email from me in like 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much, Joanne. Thank you so
much. All
much.
right, blessings, guys. And my organization is Let's Make It Happen. So, I'll be here. I have kids, grandkids, and great grandkids. So I really need to make something happen in Los Angeles because no, we can't get up and move. And no, we have put too much stock and too much stake and too much blood, sweat, and tears to be having people repositioning us against our will again.
Hey, all right. I hear you. I'll be here then. I'm trying to,
right.
For the people who can't leave, like I said, I'm trying to build for them because, a lot of us need to go, but those of us who can or won't, we got to try to hold on the best we can.
Yes. And we have to have some space to build for ourselves because we have a future and never mind. Let me stop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
my
know.
little militant side will come out.
Oh yeah. That's all right. You in the right place for it. Ain't a whole lot of places in LA where you can flex that side. But this is an unapologetically Black space. You can say whatever you want over here.
Yeah, because I think I came across you guys when we were first doing the gentrification conferences, and I first became aware of you guys because I think you presented like 2 summers ago when the AHF did something at the Golden State Mutual, and it was a young lady and her husband who presented, and then it was a whole team of young African American that young adults who kind of like did the presentations, talked about the programs and stuff. So I'm proud of you guys that you guys are still on the forefront moving your agenda forward. Yeah, that's really what we need.
Yeah, I see.
Well, I like to
yeah.
say something too. My neighborhood look like it's changing to becoming white, and I live right here off Normandy at 59th Place. And what I remember about the past, a trash truck driver used to pay for his whole family and go to, and send them to college. And we had all those shop classes. When I was in high school, we had metal shop, electronics, electricity, auto mechanics. And then they took them all out of the schools. And then when they realized that, be honest, their kids couldn't get those good jobs because of those degrees wasn't doing nothing. All of a sudden they took them out of school. Now they got those good jobs and started businesses. Whereas the black people was really making businesses, was starting to come up in the 60s and the early 70s.
And see, you preaching to the choir, because I went to manual arts.
So did I.
my mom graduated from Maine.
Yep, you can learn how to do everything.
Man.
Class of 76. And your family. Oh, yeah.
Class of 76.
72.
Yeah.
I think Danya, you want to say something? Can you unmute?
No, I hit it on an accident. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's all good. It's no problem. Deborah, I see what you're saying about that student loan debt. That's what I'm talking about. That student loan debt is cracking your DTI, and you can't get over the hump and afford a house because you carrying a mortgage and student loan debt for that piece of paper that you can't monetize. It's crazy. And who's telling our kids what they need to know right now? Who's telling them the truth? That you shouldn't go to college. You don't listen to me. We got to put them in contact with people who are sitting on that student loan debt and can't get out from under it and can't bankruptcy their way out of it because the government banned that. So those are the people who should be talking to our youth saying, hey, look, this is what I did. I did it wrong. Here's how you need to do it right. Here's the degree you need to chase. Don't be in there getting no psychology degrees and sociology degrees and human services degrees. No, go in there and get a skill that's actually needed so that way you can pay back this money at some point.
We should be pushing our youth more towards the STEM careers because that's where it has the highest growth and highest demand. I have a 17-year-old and I know that I push her towards that. And she's actually getting ready to graduate this year and she's gonna be doing chemical engineering. But
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and see, one of the things is we're doing a lot of things, and this is what Let's Make It Happen is about. How do we pull ourselves together, map our assets, and work as a unit, because there are things out there that people don't know, and then we need to come together, and part of our self-determination needs to be that we start setting our own standards. We are all over the map now, and so I'm working on creating space so we can have that kind of unity unapologetically and unaccosted. No, we don't need you to come burn us down again when we start getting, built up and well. Because they're notorious for that. But congratulations on your young person. Yeah, congratulations on your young person. And we need to create space because, like you just said, when they come back to LA, what can they do? Because we might have people on the bottom, but we've got a lot of people on the top that they are just suspended at a space. No matter how hard they try, they will not let them and refuse to let them move to the next level.
Absolutely.
So we've got a lot of recreating to do. We have, like Pastor Murray says, everything we need is in our circle. So how are we going to maximize the gifts that we already have?
But the beauty, I've been in this group for quite some time, and this is my first time ever really speaking out so much.
Welcome.
But the topic tonight, I mean, what we're talking about right now, I mean, I'm on fire. Like, I love talking about this because I feel like it's not talked about enough. And, you know, I noticed with this group is that we all work in industries where we can bring that back to each other and educate each other. Just like when Danny was talking about the conviction, like I work with ex-offenders, and what's not talked about is, you know, if you get any type of conviction on your record, it's like poof, there, like you're done away with, you know. And so they're slowly trying to change that, as far as like they have a fair chance initiative that I didn't even know about until I started working with my company. But this is information that needs to be put out there, because really companies, yeah, because companies are not really supposed to ask you about your background until they offer you the job.
But
And
this is what I meant about, we have information out there that all of us collectively don't know, because I was working with Susan Burton when they did that about 5 years ago. They started that movement to get that on there. And look, you know, 5 years later, you people are just finding out, almost like Juneteenth, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, so okay, we've got to be connected, guys. I'm putting it on here a little bit about let's make it happen, and then we can make whatever we need to happen. Yeah, that's just what I do.
Okay, well, you know, we're always in need of more hands on deck, you know.
Yes.
So if like for me, it's we just need more people to be involved. So if there's, what we really need is somebody who can help come up with the vision on how we can organize all of the people who are within the group who have skills.
Oh, that's what I'm working on.
Even if it's like a directory of sorts, and we can put everybody together and create a think tank, you know, within our group, to where we have people who work with ex-offenders, we have people who are tradespeople, mortgage people, like that. But I have to find somebody who has the time and the willingness to organize everybody, because there is a lot of knowledge here.
Yeah, and then one of the things what I'm looking for right now is somebody to help me build out my website, because the best way I see for doing it right now is I have a really innovative social media and digital communication strategy that I'm working on, but I've been trying to do it myself, and I've got a little website up there, but where I want to take it, I kind of really need some help, and I've been working and doing little projects. So if you guys know of somebody, send them my way.
I do.
Yeah, and then
who said I do?
And then I do websites and stuff. I'll put my information in the chat as well.
You can't get to the chat, can you, Joanne?
Let me see. I just got yours. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, Antonio's in the chat.
That's Antonio?
Yeah, Antonio said he can help as well. He's a digital media person. Antonio, if you want to,
yeah, put your chat number in there.
Joanne, what you could do is, if you put are you able to put your email in the chat? Because then that way everybody can just email you.
I think I did earlier.
Oh, there's his email right there. Is Reno Productions 24 at gmail.com.
When I get a migraine, I hide in the dark. But then I found notes on ODT.
Yeah, it looks like we got a couple people in here who are skilled in that area, but yeah, I mean, it's just, you know.
Yeah, and see, if you put it out there, it comes back to you.
Yeah, it will. It's just important that if we're gonna do this, you know, the one thing that I'm very serious about, and that I'm not gonna bend on, is that we have to be Black first in everything that we do. You know, part of the problem that we've run into is that we started to prioritize the needs of other communities above our own.
Yes.
Because we've been driven by the media to believe that certain issues are for us to support. They tug on our heartstrings, but the reality is things like immigration, for example, do not help Black people. It's already shown that
we have to talk. We have to get together and actually have a talk, because our thinking runs so parallel. And it's nice to know that I'm not the only one with the thinking. And I want to actually for us to come together and have a think tank, because there are some things that need to be discussed with the other people. Like when the president came out talking about what, before you even talked about the Floyd bill, you're going to come up with something that says you're talking about making pathways to citizenship. Well, hold it. You
Right.
know? And I mean, that's one reason why the degree thing went askew, because when they couldn't work, they set up and went to our schools for free. And then when you needed Spanish languages, now they've got a degree and Spanish. So that, I mean, some things were, I call them unintended consequences, but we've got to put some things in check. Yeah, because we just can't disappear into the background, and we need to do something, because like when I was around in healthcare at the event of multiculturalism, and we really took a hit on that. You know, I went kicking and screaming, but I can see the results of it now. So we do have to come up with another strategy, and we have to do it collectively, because like you said, they're trying to get us down to 5%, and they're so close, because what, we're like barely at 8 now.
Yeah, and
So,
we're
you know,
40%
and then
of
we're
the homeless.
diffused.
You know, even with
Yeah.
our small percentage, we're 40% of the homeless. And look, you know, I know a lot of people are too sensitive to embrace this topic, so this might not be for them, and I'm okay with that. But the reality is just that every other group of people prioritizes their group first. You know, our group, we're the only group that's required or requested or expected to prioritize everybody else's agenda above our own, and that has to stop. So, yeah, we definitely.
And it's long overdue. You know, that's like Dr. Claude Anderson has been saying that for how long? You know, and I'm glad to meet you. Huh?
That's who I learned it from, was Dr. Claude Anderson, watching him.
Right. And that's why I'm interested in you guys, because I would love to do that scheme that he's talking about, how we build. And our first part is the economic piece. You know, the first floor has to be, so that's why I told you guys are doing a great thing. Because in order to take back and not have to be displaced and stand our ground, we do have to build economically. And I love how you guys are giving ideas, you know? Yeah, because young people really want them.
Where would you go on vacation? Well, it's been so great having you guys on tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and hop off so I can grab something to eat. But Joanne, did you get everybody's contact information you needed before we get out of here?
Okay, wait a minute, because I was taking these screenshots, and I put mine in there too.
Yeah,
so if you guys can double around and stupid phone. Because I don't see, what I don't see is how
Joanne, I'll be getting in contact with you because I got a lot of extra time right now. I'm retired.
Oh, is this Robbie?
Yes.
Hi, Robbie.
Hi, how you doing?
Oh, good, because yeah, I want to tap into all my retired friends.
Yeah. Recently retired.
Oh, and see, I still work because I can't retire.
Well,
yeah, because life happened along the way.
Yeah, well, life happened to me too, but I've been blessed.
COVID
kind of helped. The COVID made me retire, but you know, I had a couple more years, but in this retirement, I don't want to just get lazy. But you know, I got some good things going on, and God has been blessing me in many ways. So.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, and then there's my email address in there too.
I got it.
All right.
So Joanne,
gentlemen, I will send you this email before I get any further. All right. Blessings and peace be with us.
All right. Love y'all.
All right. Love y'all too.
All right.
Thank you all.